Hello and welcome to the next level. We are happy to have you with us tonight. We are moving on in our second season, our second episode. As a quick recap from last time, the heroes had solidified some support. What did I?
No, it's the names.
Oh.
Look at that.
I'm Torok.
I thought you were laughing because Rob said quick recap, and when he said that last week,
No.
it was 40 minutes later.
No.
So this is really a
switch
quick
around.
recap while we switch things around here.
There we go.
Heroes had gotten some support from the 17th Fusiliers and found out of some other threats out of Mornay and the Empire, but they decided to go back to the Shadow Forest and to deal with the evil that's there. They acquired a little bit of help in terms of some troops that are coming with them. They also left behind the guard twins and Cass in a bit of a sad departure, but they're now at Gildy's house. They've been fixing that up while they waited for the rest of the troop to arrive. The rest of the troop have arrived and are now sort of ready to potentially get going into the Shadow Forest. So it is morning on a day. I don't have the exact date in the world with me at the moment. Oh, yes, I do. I've got right here. It is the morning of the 30th day of Teora in the year 471. As you, the wizard arrives with the new group and drops them off and then departs again. What would you like to do?
All right, well, Leon is definitely going to gather everyone together and do a little bit of an inventory / planning session.
Curious, so who are the extra people who have joined us? Just like random soldiers from?
They are random soldiers, but they have names. There are 2 squads. What's a good name? Well, give me like interesting animal names for the names of the squads.
Honey Badger.
I was going to say there needs to be a
Badger squad, okay. And
Not talking those nice tea drinking badgers.
that's another sort of, animal that a squad would be named after, something significant.
How about Cougar?
Cougar Squad.
I think all of us went the same place.
It's all 40-something females.
No, it is. There's 3 of the 4 of them are women, actually.
Who are eyeing the Badger Squad? who's all a group of 20-something guys.
Oh dear.
So Badger Squad is led by Carries, a woman, and includes Humbert, Elsa, and Liam. Cougar Squad is led by Nessa and includes Lenore, Ivor, and Morwen. So they're sort of, they you can definitely tell that Carries and Nessa, the leaders of both squads, they've seen some battle before. They know sort of their way around, fight scene. The other 6 of them are sort of vary between looking like pretty green new recruits to like fairly, battle weathered, that sort of thing as well.
Okay. Gildy does not let them in her house.
No, they are perfectly happy. They've got some tents that they'll set up if they're going to stay here for any period of time. They're perfectly happy to just stay around and not come in the house. It's also a house that is made for halfling, and
that is true. It's a small person house.
Yeah. So yes, you were going to do a bit of an inventory, were you? Counting cougars?
Happy International Women's Day as well.
There you go.
Classy to the end.
Each of them, they don't have much to contribute. They have their weapons and armor, but they've each been supplied with a single sort of healing potion in terms of other interesting things. And each of you, I don't think we'd covered this last time, were given a single sort of basic healing potion, which I've added to your character sheets.
Thank you.
And Torok puts in that he has 1 potion of supreme healing to add to the mix for whoever should be carrying that.
Talon, have you taken a look at your items recently?
Yes, because I'm looking at it right now, and oh, that's different. Where'd that come
And that's probably the reaction Talon has, is sort of, opens up a pouch and looks through things and be like, yeah, you've got stuff that wasn't there before.
from? Interesting.
Up to you what you'd like to do with them.
So yeah, as we're doing the inventory, Talon will kind of look and has this puzzled look on his face and like, well, I've got. Now, would Talon be able to know what these are, or would Talon have to ask for them himself?
That is a very good question. Talon has been around sort of, magical things and at the Temple of the Archmage for a while. I would give you, even though you don't have a great Arcana check, I'm assuming. That reminds me. Is that your start of session rule?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. Give me an Arcana check with advantage to figure out what these are.
Ooh.
23. You've been rolling really well.
I know. I'm glad, because I was really dumb when I made it not work.
You're halfway there.
Yeah, are you serious?
Oh, I've finally put the spell book together, though. It's gonna be interesting.
It will be.
Yeah.
Because Leon historically has not used damaging spells, but with everything that's been going on, she's kind of starting to lean more towards possibly taking damaging spells. So
Yeah.
All the spells were written in this cool magic ink that
Talon, give me another one to identify both of them.
Okay.
There should be 2.
Yeah.
And I'm just looking them up quickly so I remember what they are. That's what it was, yes.
So both of those are with advantage.
Okay. I'm going to say that you recognize the one of them fairly well as a potion of speed. The other one, like being around sort of the monks and things, this is a rare potion, but you would have seen sort of potentially in use just because it sort of, it adds to sort of martial prowess and that sort of thing. The other one, you're not quite sure of. The other one you may have seen, but it's not really coming to mind. Yeah, not quite sure what it is.
Okay. So Talon mentioned that, I'm not sure where it came from, but I seem to have this potion of speed. And Leon, maybe you can help me with this one. The tip of my tongue, I can't, can you, and we'll, hand it to you.
And give me an Arcana check. There we go. Perfect.
Oh,
and Leon's like, before you even hand it over, it's still in your hands, Talon. Leon's just like, oh, that's a potion of clairvoyance.
Yes, no, it's written on the side, Talon.
Actually, it probably is like there's a little bit of a rune that you're like, no, I just know what that means. And Talon's like, oh, that's okay. Actually, it's, you know what it is? Potions of clairvoyance are actually fairly unique in how they look before you drink them. Luckily, it goes away before you drink it. There's a little eyeball floating around inside of it.
Oh, creepy.
Yeah.
Hide the eyeball.
Yeah, as soon as you open it, the eyeball goes away. It's just sort of a magical effect to help remind people what they are.
What it is, yeah. All right.
Yeah, you don't know where those came from.
I see. Did a Pegasus drop them off for you, perchance?
Did you see one? I didn't see one. I don't know where this came from. I don't remember the last time I checked my bag, but I don't remember them being there.
I see. That is an interesting magical delivery service you have going for you. All right. So, yes, a number of us have potions of healing. I have a potion of supreme healing as well that I can use for someone. I also have my ring of life that will allow me to cast healing word for one individual should we need it. We of course have the stones of recall. I have the bullseye lantern, which actually I'm thinking I will devise a way to attach that to Torok's head so that you can use that for combat.
How
Okay.
Rob's
does that
face made that
affect
all
my
work.
ability to ride on his shoulders?
It probably means if you are on his shoulders, you cannot see over his head. There'd be a big lantern in the way. It would look like your head was a large lantern.
Oh, that could be fun.
You
Might be a
can't see
little bright.
anything, but yeah.
So yeah, so during actually at some point, like during the day, like before we head out kind of thing, or as we're traveling or whatnot, Leon does spend some time devising a way to attach that to Torok's head, kind of plays around with different headpieces that she's ever seen to like conjure them. So my thoughts are a turban, where I basically kind of tuck that into the wrapping of the turban, or perhaps like a leather cap with a chin strap.
Turok is wearing a helm.
Well, that makes life more difficult. So a shoulder harness of some kind, some way to attach it to his shoulder, like so that
Or I
it
could
sits on the
just
top of
hold
his
it.
shoulder or something. Well, no,
You're not
because
going to be
then
on his
you're out
shoulders
of
the entire
combat.
time of the fight, so.
Yeah.
That's fair.
No, the idea is I want to try and find some way to attach to Torok so that he doesn't have to hold it. And can just basically have it so that he can always see, but then he's also, whoever he's fighting will have that disadvantage from being in bright light.
Yeah.
That's my hope. I mean, I do have a backup idea if absolutely necessary. I have a backup idea if I can't figure out how to attach it. Actually,
So you're working on that bit.
I just realized I do have a way to attach it to Torok, but it would be a permanent way to attach it to Torok, and I don't really want to do that. I have sovereign glue,
Oh, right.
so I could just glue it to his helmet, and it would be pretty much impossible to remove it. But I don't really want to do that.
Oh, right. And it's rod. It's not actually a bullseye lantern. It wouldn't take up a whole lot of space. So, yeah.
Yeah, basically it would just be kind of like a flashlight.
Yeah.
Is my understanding.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah. So
So now I'm picturing Turok with a miner's helm.
Pretty much.
yeah, that is exactly what I'm trying to design.
Yes. So what do other people have? And specifically here, I was sort of looking for, obviously there's items that you're going to have that you can sort of use and reuse, but it might be sort of good to go through the sort of expendable items that you have in case you want to use them, just to know what you have, what's out there. So.
Well,
Yeah.
and we have the message stones, and then I also have the elemental gem.
Yes.
Yeah, Turok also has a potion of invisibility.
Talon has one of those as well.
Excellent.
I have a potion of hill giant strength.
Yep.
Skin of endless mead.
Mm.
We could bribe them with alcohol.
Yeah, it's always good.
I don't think that'll work. It's for celebration after. To drown out my pain when I'm sore after fighting.
Yes, that often happens.
No, sorry, I don't have a potion of visibility. It's in my ring of spell storing.
Yes, you have a spell of invisibility.
Yes.
Right. And then what was the spell that you got from?
Thunderstep.
Right. Okay. Right. You can understand.
And Jacob is pleased to announce that he has the heavenly headpiece. Caw-caw! 3 doves go flying. Damn it! One of these days it's going to be spectacular.
It's always such a small amount.
Yep.
Now, while I was doing that, I was working on some experimental elixirs, so I have a couple for people if they would like them. The first one is a little potion of boldness. You'll get to add D4 to every attack roll and saving throw for the next minute. Gildy, you've been so kind to let us stay at your home. I think this is fitting for you.
Oh, thank you, I guess.
Trust me, it's safe. I know I say experimental elixir, but that's my pet name for it. It's a nickname. It's fine. It's battle tested. Made it this morning. Also have a potion
Sorry,
of healing.
What does it do again?
A potion of boldness. When you drink it for the next minute, you can add D4 to every attack roll and saving throw.
And it tastes like mayonnaise.
It's like mayonnaise. Oh.
The other one was much more boring. It was a potion of healing, which we have a lot. So I'll just keep that on my
Okay.
So Gildy has one of the message stones, and she has the Seeking Stone Amulet, which gives me some advantages. And
Fine.
then if the bearer concentrates on a person they are familiar with for 10 minutes, the stone will rise on its leather cord and point to that person, unless that person is hidden from divination magic.
Like me.
If the ranger seeks someone they are not familiar with, but for whom they have a name, personal item, or vague description or image, there is a 5% per level chance they can find them.
You're at 35% now?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Talon also has the Egg of Blessing, which he got the last time we went to the Shadow Forest.
Right. I'd
Oh,
forgotten
and that
about
reminds Alphonse. Alphonse brings out his egg.
That's right.
That's not in Alphonse's inventory.
No, it's a special item. I've got it on my
Okay.
thing here. Yeah, I could break this and see what's inside of it, and if they said there would be some creature that might help us out.
Yes, of course, the summoning egg.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember now.
And actually, at that, Wisp will probably speak up and sort of strum a few notes on their viol. No, it's more of a string. It's more of a sort of. But they can still sort of pluck a few notes on their viol, and say that they also can summon a creature if needs be. So.
I can breathe fire also, I should. Yeah, I still got those peppers that I bought. They're not moldy yet somehow, so.
Oh yeah, no, they keep for a while.
Oh, and this really cool monkey paw.
What?
Nothing can go wrong. It's got, see, I hold up this like severed monkey paw that has.
No, it's a goblin hand.
Oh, it's a goblin hand. It's a goblin hand, not a monkey paw. Goblin. It has two fingers pointing up.
Yeah, two
So
things left.
Ugh.
That can't end poorly at all.
It's for emergencies.
He's already used it once.
All right. So, my thoughts are: we go into the Shadow Forest. We find the dome, which we know where it is already. And my thoughts were that we have Talon attempt to sneak, potentially now invisibly, into the dome, discern where the opponents are located, stealthily, secretly, completely quietly, and report back to us.
What?
But we can't get out of the dome once we're
No,
inside.
but you've got message stones.
We have
Oh.
message stones, so we can see whether the message stones work. I was also thinking that it would be a good time to experiment and see if the Stone of Recall will allow him to escape the dome.
A decent plan.
So
I suppose the worst that could happen is the Stone of Recall might blow up.
there's no reason why it would. These things, they're not unstable like that. It's not a matter of it either works or blows up.
She's not wrong. The worst that could happen to pretty much anything is that it blows up.
Just the stone, right? It's just the stone.
This isn't like the Stone of Healing.
Never gonna live that down.
No. So, so my other thoughts are:
What if the dome moved?
There's multiple domes.
there are multiple domes. Two, Gildy has her Seeking Stone that would
Yeah.
allow her to find the individual that we're looking for. However, my thoughts are then that Gildy, Alphonse, and myself concentrate. We know that they have a number of the individuals who have been transformed, mutated. That when we first enter, all of us attempt to strike at as many of those individuals as possible, not to kill them, but to weaken them in our initial foray. But then Gildy, Alphonse, and myself continue to focus on the minions, again, to knock as many of them, to injure as many of them as possible, so that then, having cast Conjure Minor Elemental, I will have conjured myself some dust methods, 4 dust methods, each of whom can once per day cast Sleep.
You also have 8 people going with you who can focus on them.
Well, potentially. I'm thinking that the 3 of us may be able to focus on those individuals enough that we get them down enough that with enough of the sleep spells we can take a large number of them out. Because there will also be spellcasters. There will also be, we know, the rather some type of creature such as
There's the guardian thing. That's
Well, but also there was the Leon, of course, remembers all of this without having to look any of it up. I just can't quite remember what the dude is called.
What specific element are you thinking of?
So there will, of course, be the Shadow Master. There will be the corrupted spellcasters. There could be a Shadow Ogre, and also the Shadow Render. So I'm thinking that then Torok and Minuset and Jacob and Whisper and the other individuals that we have can focus on those more dangerous opponents, while the 3 of us disable as many of the minions as we possibly can to put them to sleep so that then we can save them. Because my hope is that we won't slay the individuals who've been mutated. We will actually save them. However, the individuals that started off as monsters, we will have to deal with them. So those who are solid hand-to-hand combatants, and Talon, of course, I'd forgotten about Talon, is among those who go after the more powerful members, while the 3 of us soften the minions and put them to sleep.
Yeah, so Nessa, the leader of the Cougar group, will sort of speak up at that point and be like, we'll do whatever you want us to do, but frankly, from what we've heard, you guys are some pretty badass adventurer types. We're just sort of standard warriors. We can, deal non-lethal damage if we need to, if you want to try and save some people, but chances are if you're going into some big, fight, you're going to want all of your forces concentrating on whatever the big bad things are there, and we can take out the rest. Well, hopefully.
Well, and I understand certainly where you're coming from, but I think that if 3 of us will be able to deal enough damage to a large number of them, that then very quickly we'll be able to use sleep.
Sort of, okay, I know you're a big smart wizard, I get that. But 8 of us will probably be able to deal more damage and spread out away to get them down so you can do your sleep spell. And then you don't have to worry about them.
Well, yes, and that's why I suggested in our immediate foray that all of us initially attack the minions, and then 3 of us continue on the minions for another little while the other individuals, such as yourselves, with ranged weapons potentially, then go and attack the more powerful individuals.
Well, whatever you want.
So Alphonse speaks up, and he's kind of like wringing his hands, and he looks really nervous, and he's like I don't know. That sounds like a plan. It sounds like a plan, but what if there are a lot of them? Like, what if it's really hard? I don't know if we should do this. And then he's just kind of like sitting there, like really anxious.
Yeah.
Do not worry, Alphonse. We will prevail, and we will protect you from harm.
And Alphonse says, "Oh, okay." And then at that point, Gildy kind of comes up, and she's like trying to calm him down a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm
Keep
just-
sort of spinning the egg on the ground a little bit.
No, of course, I would find it very challenging to go back to some place that I had been captured as well. So I certainly understand your misgivings.
And yeah, Wisp will sort of speak up like, you were captured in one of these places? They don't sound very nice.
Alphonse shakes his head, but he doesn't say anything or look up from his spinning egg.
So basically, out of like, right, as Leon, I can only say so much. So effectively what I'm thinking is, first round, we enter the dome in such a way that first round, all of us can just like use all of our attacks on the minions spread out so that we harm a pile of them. And having all those extra dudes, that's going to definitely be so many attacks. We're going to hurt so many of the minions. We may then not even need to have anybody else focus on it. My thoughts were, Leon has area effect spells. I'm thinking that Alphonse probably has area effect spells. And Gildy can shoot like 3 arrows around. So the 3 of us taking 1 or maybe 2 more rounds to focus on the minions, we will have definitely taken out the minions, having taken 1 round, all of us firing into them, and then the 3 of us focused for 1, maybe 2 rounds, we've taken them out. And those other dudes can better be used, harrying spellcasters or big bad guys from range potentially to make more targets.
What are their ranged weapons?
That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I'll say they have crossbows. Yeah, and out of game, you're essentially heading into a boss fight, and these guys are nowhere near your level of thing. So,
oh no, for sure. But that's why I'm just thinking, right? Even like if there's spellcasters, right? If there's those spellcasters, if they're targeting the spellcasters, then suddenly the spellcasters can't focus on us, and they have to be trying to deal with these other guys.
Yeah.
So giving them more targets, giving them more threat, they could be going around and destroying the globes while we fight, so that would be another thing that actually I just thought of, was just like, why don't we have a bunch of them? They can go and hammer those globes while a couple of us are dealing with the minions, and then others are dealing with the bosses.
Something else that Leon would remember is that the side globes, destroying them is good, but the one at the center of the dome, if you destroy that, that brings down the dome.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether we want to bring down the dome, because I feel like then there's the possibility that some of the creatures might run away.
Potentially, but it also means they're not in a realm of shadow.
Okay, because I figured we were always like negating their shadow powers because we've got the drift globe, we've got the you know what I mean? So we're bringing our light into there.
Yeah,
so.
It takes away one of their sort of mild advantages of just sort of having the dome and having that area protection, whatever else. But yeah, it's just something to recall as that could be an area of focus if that was a goal. Okay,
well then what if once we're in there, Talon goes and takes out, like, not when he's scouting. He's scouting.
So take advantage of the scouting. Just go for the big marble.
No. Do the scouting, report back. Once we've launched our large scale assaults, then Talon could go for that central globe.
Which is guarded by a significant monster.
Yeah, but then while Jacob, Torok, and Minyaset engage the monster. Yeah. Sound like a plan?
Sure.
All right. All right.
Mint, you're on mute. I'm not sure if you meant to say something or not.
Actually, no, Mint would not have said that. So I'm glad I was on mute.
Mint says something under her breath, but none of us could hear it.
That's all right.
Sounds good.
Cool. I'm just excited to finally be able to conjure a creature. And conjure 4 creatures that can cast sleep once per day.
Yeah.
think it's nice to finally have a plan for once.
I'm sure we'll follow it.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
sure.
like
I'm sure everything will go exactly according to plan. It'll be great.
What could possibly go wrong?
Nothing.
Said no one ever.
Said the DM.
Exactly.
All right. So first, are we able to find a dome?
Well, you haven't even left Gildy's house yet.
I know. So we leave Gildy's house.
Just like, you're not done fixing the roof.
I tidy up
Oh.
whatever mess I made
Yeah.
before I leave Gildy's house.
Okay, how many? Actually, that's another thing. So Leon is asking about how much rope do we have?
I've
You
got some.
probably have at least like 1,000 feet of rope between all of you.
All right. Then Leon is definitely going to make sure that like how many of those twisted individuals do we encounter in that first place? It was around 15, wasn't it?
It sounds like a
Okay.
good estimate.
Okay. Then I think Leon is going to make sure that we have enough rope like cut into sections to tie up 25 medium-sized individuals.
Okay.
Just so that then, when we go, because I'm pretty sure I believe I can actually put these back together using mending at a later time. So I don't think it matters that we cut them up, because I'm quite certain that mending will allow me to fix those. So yeah, just so that we have all that, so that when we put them to sleep, then eventually they're going to wake up. So
Yeah.
so that we can have them get tied up once they're asleep.
Yep.
Cool. And then I need a minute because I don't think I chose my spells for today. Oh, and then the other thing, Leon, is like, okay, and so we may encounter another one of those spectral horsemen, and I suggest that we avoid them and do not engage. Sneak around them. And
If
save
possible,
our
yeah.
strength. Save our strength for the dome. Okay. Mhm.
So, Gildy speaks up and she's like, "That's all a great plan, Leon. What was the plan for finding a dome?"
Oh, well, we already know where one is. For
Do we?
one. We do?
Yep. You know where
Okay.
one is up north.
Yes. Plus, you can also attempt to find the Shadow Weaver using your Seeking Stone.
Well, the Shadow Weaver's minion.
Sorry, I meant the Shadow Master. Yes. That's what I said, the Shadow Master.
Okay.
Shadow Master 5000.
Indeed.
So
Would
would
you
that be
like-
a... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, Gildy, would you like to try and see if your Seeking Stone will find them? You have seen them once.
Sure. Let's see. All right, yeah. So she takes the amulet and she just she concentrates on it for the 10 minutes that she has to concentrate, and then 35%. So we'll roll a 1d100.
Roll D100, yep.
There we go.
All right. So it sort of starts to rise up a little bit and sort of, moves back and forth and then just sort of slowly sets back down in your hand. I think you can try once a day per thing. How does that work?
This description does not say.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I will take a quick look. I think that's what I had meant for it when I'd created it.
Gildy also, after the amulet doesn't do anything, she says, she looks thoughtful for a moment, and she says, I know some elves in the forest, or I know one elf I met once who might have more information about what's going on if we're curious.
Who is this elf that you met in the forest?
Well, he helped me once when I was on one of my missions to look for Alphonse. I had foolishly gone on my own and managed to get lost, and I was low on rations, and he happened upon me and helped me out. His name is Urathan, and he told me how to contact him if I'm ever in need of help. And so it's been many years, but it's possible he may know more about what's going on and be willing to give us information at least.
And why haven't you tried to contact them before?
It's been a really long time since I spoke with him, and he slipped my mind previously.
Can I make an insight check?
Sure.
This seems sketchy. Maybe it's not, and maybe it's something new that you just came up with, and that's why you haven't done it. But Leon thinks it seems sketchy.
I mean, like, out of character, like, this was something that Rob told me a long time ago, and I literally forgot about it until he reminded me about it. So
Okay, so with my 14, Leon is like, oh, Gildy actually did just forget about this dude.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, which Leon, for two reasons, is like, seriously? Because one is like, what, forgetting? That's a thing? But then is also like, wouldn't this have been really helpful when we were here the last time? Okay.
Well, last time we were tracking somebody, and like we managed to find
you were
them.
trying to
from
find your
tracking.
husband.
We weren't lost. Well, we were tracking the first time in the forest. We were tracking we were hired to find a specific person.
Yep.
And it was tracking that person that, I think, if I recall correctly, led us to
Yep.
the first dome. So
Okay.
they were never lost. So she was never like, how do I find a thing? Because she knew how to find the thing. The thing being the person. Anyways, so that's...
But in this case, we also know where there's a dome, and the domes have portals in them that lead us to other domes.
Yeah.
So we don't necessarily need to find any specific dome, and we know where one is.
True. You're a little ways away. You're probably about a weekish travel. Unless you go through the forest, then you're probably longer, even though it's slightly more direct route.
And this is why I had suggested that we go to the monastery instead of Gilly's house. All right. So contact this elf then, I suppose, and see if they can help us find, or do we just head in the direction? All right, then. How do we proceed?
That's a nice question. So I just a ruling on the Seeking Stone. It doesn't actually say once per day, but I'm going to say that it probably gets slightly more challenging every time, sort of within the same day. If you keep trying, it sort of strains the abilities of it. So if you would like to try again, you can, but the percentage chance will be a little bit lower.
Okay. Gildy probably won't try again.
Okay.
It
Yes,
didn't work the first time, and she's like, all right, that was useless.
You do know how to find Ivarthan, and potentially they can help you out.
Okay. Now, Rob, for the remove curse, that's generally going to be more longer term, right? Because remove curse is not a ritual spell, so it makes sense. I figure I wouldn't need to prepare today, because basically we could have our battle today and take prisoners, and then okay, cool. I just wanted to make sure I didn't need to prepare that spell today. in case that
Yeah,
helps.
and this is a special version of Remove Curse as well. So yeah, because it's got sort of slightly different elements to it for these specific individuals.
Okay, cool. Then I will not prepare it today, and I will prepare it tomorrow when we have people, well, the day after the battle when we have people to remove curse on.
Yeah, so how would you like to proceed?
Well, Gildy, the clearing where she needs to light the fire, is it like far into the forest, or is it like relative to her house?
Relative to her house, it is probably like from your house to the edge of the forest is like a good couple of hours. You're a little ways away from the edge of the shadow forest. And then, yeah, it's probably about roughly sort of a day's travel into the forest.
Okay. So Gildy shares that information with the group and says, if we're interested in contacting Urathan, it'll just take a day or two.
All right, I suggest we do so. Post haste.
Okay. And everyone starts gathering up their things, and Alpha's like, egg? No, wait. Okay.
I conjure my phantom steed.
Yep. That very much impresses your 8 newcomers. Like, oh, geez, you could just out of nowhere, there's a horse? Okay, fine.
Oh, yes.
You have one for the rest of us? Can you share with the group?
If you're tired, he lets you ride on a disc.
Oh, okay.
I can conjure a disc for those who are weary.
Okay.
Mint turns to Tor and goes,
All right.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, so you gather up your things and sort of head out. Yeah, decent day. Teora is late fall, early winter, I believe.
Yep.
So yeah, there's I mean you're north enough, south enough. You're south enough that it's not like super cold heading into yeah, so you're good chunk of the way through autumn, I guess. So there's sort of it's a sunny and there's sort of a bit of a nice breeze. It's sort of a nice pleasant autumn day. You know, leaves are changing color in some of the trees around you.
Just FYI, we've sort of disappeared.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, everything just died.
Oh,
Keep going. I will.
all right. Hopefully you can still hear us. We will do theater of the mind. Imagine.
We have entered the shadow. Didn't this happen the last time we went into the shadow forest?
It's very dark in there.
it's so meta, guys.
Yeah, so it takes at least a couple of hours to reach the edge of the shadow forest. Anything that you're sort of working on, talking about as you travel?
But at some point, Talon will, you know, through an evening's rest, or, you know, in the evening or so, while people are resting, will probably kind of go off on his own and just have a bit of a
In the evening, you will be in the shadow forest.
That's fine.
Okay.
He's not going to go like far, just where he's got some privacy,
All right.
and try to commune if he can with the Archmage, on the assumption that that is the source of where these gifts came from, and just to sort of, you know, say, you know, thank you.
So,
Yep.
well, I'll come back to that.
Sure.
As we're sort of middle of the day at the moment. Is there anything else?
Yeah, sorry.
So again, you're just the quick travel to the shadow forest while you're still sort of in the nice, bright, sunny day. Anything that comes up at that point?
Yeah, I think Leona's going to ask Whisper about these. Wait, is it Whisper or Wisp?
Whisper is the full word name. There's a longer name, but yes.
Right, but do they go by Whisper or Wisp?
Wisp.
Okay. Right, but Whisper was in there, that's why I was confused. Okay, then Leon would definitely, you know, at some point kind of come up beside Wisp and ask, so you said that you had some sort of conjuration magic. Might I ask what spell that is?
Did you want to address that, Carolyn, or shall I give that a go?
You can give it a go.
All right. Now I need to look up some notes. Give me a moment. She sort of brings out the instrument that you've sort of seen her playing significant amount of times, this viol. And you can tell, like, without an insight check, that she's very sort of protective, and this instrument means a lot to her. And she says that this was, I believe, it was a gift from her mother. Yeah,
That's correct.
Yeah, it's a gift from my mother. It was passed down to me, and it, other than playing beautiful music, does have the capability to summon creatures that I can sort of command to fight.
And
if I need to.
What types of creatures?
Beasts or fae of that nature.
I see.
Yes, it's my mother was also a bard who travels around a lot and had lots of beautiful stories. She had been many places throughout Thurn and the world, and had sort of always had this with her to sort of aid her in her travels. And I have taken it with me, and have not yet had many much need to use it, or many places to go to where I might need its protection. But I'm hoping that traveling with you and this adventure that we're on to this shadow forest might be a place where it could come in useful.
Oh yes, I think it definitely will be. Excellent. And do you get to choose which creature, or is it more random?
I can choose what type of creature, and then the exact sort of creature itself manifests as the magic, I guess, chooses. So I will choose whether it's a beast or a fae that I summon, and then the exact type of fae or beast might be. Yeah.
Oh yes, I understood that.
You seem very intelligent.
Why, thank you.
Do you have many interesting stories?
Oh, I certainly do.
I would love to hear those sometime. I do collect stories and love to hear about other people's stories and what they've been through, and if there's anything I can take away from those.
I guess then Leon would go into a long and painfully detailed recounting of the tale of the monastery, right? Where she was trying to learn spells, and then Talon came in disguise and tried to get her to leave, and the rabbit wouldn't leave her alone, and then she ended up in this room with the talking mouse and this arcane device that was counting down, and then couldn't quite figure out how to work it, and ran out and teleported 90 feet in the air, certain that she was going to be destroyed but save her friends, and then she was all right because the archmage had saved her.
Fascinating. The archmage herself.
Oh. Yes.
Wow, that is impressive. I have never met a god. I hope to one day. I think. Maybe I don't. It depends on the god, I guess. Yes.
Oh, indeed. Yes. No, she is very nice and certainly worthy of all respect. Yes.
Yes. All right.
We actually recovered her heart for her.
You what?
We recovered her heart for her.
Heart?
Yes.
The gods have hearts?
Some do, apparently.
Fascinating. Yeah, she's very taken with the whole story.
Yay.
Anything else that comes up in that sort of couple hours?
I think Mint would like to check in with Torok, just like, how are you doing, big buddy? Like, you gonna be okay? I know you've been through a lot recently. You're not gonna like freak out or anything, are you?
Tor has been very subdued since he nearly died. And I think at this point, Tor would tell Mint about his son.
Mm.
So Tor explains that this is not a god. He doesn't know what the stuff he is anymore. He just knows that his son had it, and he watched his son die and feels responsible. And that's the memory he got back. And he doesn't know anything anymore. And he was so angry and so angry. And then he nearly died and is now very conflicted.
So I'm hoping the takeaway is that you don't want to die.
I have no desire to die. I just had a lot of, well, let's be honest, I'm a barbarian. Rage comes with the territory, but this was more than usual. And I've spent a very long time trying not to be what I am.
And I'm going to say that recounting that is very sort of cathartic for you, but it also brings up some things. Give me a wisdom save.
Oh, goody. Okay, hold on.
Sorry, everyone. I poked the happy fun ball again.
All right, I don't have that one pre-written down, so I just need to bring up the number. I should have this one memorized. Wisdom +2. Oops. What did I do? Oh, no spics.
Yep. You feel some things bubbling up, but you are able to otherwise sort of repress them. But I'm going to give you the choice this time. Do you want to? You know that they're there. You feel a little bit at the mention of your son, and a little bit at the mention of sort of talking about losing control. Sort of two different things.
I think at this point he might let it happen.
Okay. For both or just one?
At this point, for both. He feels
Okay.
safe right now, especially with Mint.
All right. So the first one, at the mention of your son, is actually a pleasant memory. You and your son are essentially playing. There's some carved wooden figures that your son is sort of playing with, and you sort of joined him. You are in sort of a very different sort of get up, a much more sort of formal set of sort of skins and robes. And yeah, just this pleasant memory of this joyful little time playing with your son. And at that point, your son still has the little stuffy tucked in his belt, not playing with it at that particular point in time. But yeah, they're sort of just playing with some figures that you've whittled for them, and yeah, having a pleasant time with them. And yeah, okay. The other one is it sort of switches, and it sort of takes you back to that moment that you remembered before of your son in your arms, but it's a little after that. Your son is sort of on the ground at your feet, and you have lost control. You don't know what's come over you. There's this sort of red over your vision. You're battling with your hammer through these sort of giant insects that are all around you, and then there seems to be this tear in reality. and you are swallowed by darkness. And that is where that one ends.
So Tor shakes that off, kind of thinks about it for a minute, tells Mint, there's something I need to do. Gets up and walks over to Leon.
So did you put Mint down when you did that, or?
Well,
Mint's on your shoulders.
Oh, if you're still on my shoulders, you come with.
Oh,
There's
okay.
nothing I need to do. It just starts trudging towards Leon.
Okay.
What does Torok's face look like when he strides purposefully over to Leon?
Determined, not angry, just determined.
Okay. I think Leon, once she notices Torok, is definitely like kind of like, yes, hello. Seems nervous.
And you can tell Torok's struggling with what he's about to say. So his comment is, the rage I've had recently, basically says, the rage I've had recently is because I discovered this stuffy is my son's. I watched my son die. I have no idea why it's imbued with magic. If something happens to me, or when this is all done, I'm going to need your help to find out why. And then you kind of hear him sniffle a little bit and then turn around and trudge back off.
Before he trudges off, Leon says, you have my word, I will assist you with this.
And you just see him look back and nod.
And
I just kind of pat Torok's shoulder.
Yeah, I don't know how clearly it came across, but pretty much every sentence Torok said, Leon's eyebrows went higher and then higher and then higher. It was just like, oh, okay, you have my word.
might add a little bit of something to that for fun. Give me 1 second.
And to Mint, Torok's only comment is, every time I say it, it makes it feel more real.
Leon, as Tor is leaving, you've sort of said you'll help with this. You hear this small voice in your head that simply says, please help him.
And it was a voice that was in my head.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't hear it with my ears.
Mm-mm. Give me a perception check. That's good enough. You catch sight of this, and you're not sure you saw it exactly right, maybe, but yeah, Tor turns away and is walking off, and you hear this voice, and you thought maybe just for that moment the Stuffy's head had turned in your direction.
I'm not okay with this.
Okay. And with that, you arrive at the Shadow Forest. And that seems like a good place to take a break.
Leon is comforted by the arrival of the Shadow Forest.
Yeah, we'll be back in just 5 minutes. We'll take a quick break here, and we'll come back with what happens within the Shadow Forest.
Yay.
Hello, and welcome back to the next level. So, we pick up where we left off. Our characters are entering into the Shadow Forest. And for the other members in the party that have not seen the Shadow Forest before, this is a bit of an experience. You are pretty much all old hat with this. You've been in the Shadow Forest enough times. Even for you, though, there's still that same ominous feeling. But pretty much from the edge of the forest, after less than a half an hour, you're into deep Shadow Forest. If you remember the last time you went in, you were on a path and it was mostly okay, and it wasn't until you went off the path that you were sort of deep into the Shadow Forest. There is no path here. Gildy knows where she's going, but you are like going straight through the Shadow Forest. So it quickly develops into sort of that thick, tangled, gnarled trees with the sort of the thick, dense foliage above and sort of dim light, and then sort of the shadow fog that sort of spreads out throughout the area as well.
Talon will pull out the drift globe and have it kind of go along, and whoever needs the aid of light can kind of hang around the drift globe, and it'll just have light just going along.
Yeah. And as before, it gives light within its radius. I'm not going to sort of take anything away from the magical item, but there's sort of that sense of like pressing in on it, that it's, the darkness wants to sort of take over this area of light, this sort of gap within its confines. That said,
still also has the liquid light. Well.
We've got the liquid light, and you've got the bullseye lantern rod that you can be using.
Do not drink the liquid light.
That said, you get to you travel a little into the night, given sort of the couple hours that you traveled outside the forest to get to the grove, the glade that Gildy had meant to get to, and it is actually a good size sort of clearing. It's not like cleared up above so much, but they're like the big trees, the gnarled trees are sort of cleared out. There's a decent space here, and you can tell that, well, can you tell? Torok, any of you that are proficient in survival, you just have to be proficient in survival. You can tell that other creatures have come through here, and specifically other creatures of like bipedal nature. It's not necessarily well-traveled, but there's like signs that a fire has been here before, signs of some paths in and out. And Gildy, you sort of, gather some wood and light a fire here, and you sort of all settle down for the evening. Talon, you would like to go a little off.
I would. Just somewhere like just not far outside of the circle, just kind of the edge of the foresty dark area.
Yeah.
And just take a moment and try to sort of commune with the Archmage.
Give me a charisma check.
Okay.
So if Ranu and or I notice that Talon has gone off a little bit, then I would have Ranu like perched in the branches to not spy on Talon, but to keep an eye on Talon's surroundings.
Yeah.
So that Talon cannot be snuck up on while he is separated from the group.
So yeah, you're sort of just a little ways away. You can still sort of see the fire through the trees. It's not that far. Excuse me. And you sort of sit down for a moment and just try and concentrate and sort of commune with the Archmage. And you hear a little bit of rustling nearby. And you're sort of actually you're not wary. You get a sense that whatever is there is not a threat.
Okay.
And out from a little bit of the bushes hops a little white bunny.
Does the bunny look familiar?
It does. And it sort of looks up at you with this sort of quizzical little look.
Town will look and it's you.
Mm-hmm.
I assume I have you to thank for the gifts that I found. Thank you. As we've been here before, this is a very dangerous, task that we've taken on. So I wanted to say thank you and look for your blessing as we go forth and are hopefully successful in defeating the shadows. As always, I am in your debt, and if there's ever anything that I can do, just call upon me.
Yep, they haven't said anything. They just sort of nod, and they sort of hop up and just sort of put a little bit of a paw on your leg.
Aww.
And then just hop back off into the forest.
Talon will stay sort of a few moments longer and just sort of, somewhat surprised that the Archmage, even though, Talon has met the Archmage, and the Archmage seems to recognize Talon and forgive Talon for his previous transgressions, that, he feels more important, in that, he doesn't know why. He just, he feels important.
Yeah. And Ranu. So as Ranu sort of watches around, Ranu catches sight sort of thrown through the branches and the bushes of a little white bunny that looks directly up at Ranu. And then sort of down at Talon, and then up at Ranu, and down at Talon, and then hops away. Oh, you're muted.
Haha. It's dark. It's hard to hear. I believe that Ranu would have seen the bunny before, so would know that the bunny was not a threat.
Yeah.
So would probably not do anything. And would probably alert Leon to the fact that the bunny was there. All right. Cool.
All right. Anything else that happens that evening while you're sort of waiting for this shadow elf to arrive? And the answer can be nothing. That's fine. I'm just curious.
I think Gildy and Alphonse are both very quiet.
Yeah. Yeah, and Gildy would know sort of from previous interactions that the arrival of the elf could take anywhere from like an hour to like 8 or 10 hours, depending on sort of how things go. So you've lit the fire. You have a decent area where you can make camp for the night. How do you make camp for the night? You now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 people with you. Or 16 people total in your party.
Actually, I just realized something that Leon would undoubtedly do, which would be to advise all of our new folks. I have advantage on history of the Shadow Forest and advantage on the plains, the Shadowfell. So I think Leon would definitely go through a fairly exhaustive explanation of the various not dangers, because she doesn't want to make everybody scared, but just these are the things to look out for. These are kind of their powers and limitations and various things like that, just kind of of what there is and what it means, and so talking about the shadow fog and what exactly it's like, and that we've encountered it, it's gone through it, and it's nothing to worry about, and all that kind of thing, just so that everybody kind of knows, especially now that we're spending a night here, they all know kind of what to expect, and hopefully set their mind at ease, since they're getting this detailed description of what's going on, that it's okay, no, it's cool, these people have been here before, they know what they're doing, we now know what we're doing, we're all fine. And whoever wants can stay inside of my tiny hut.
Which holds 9.
Yeah, and so the thing is that up to 9 people can be in it when you cast it, and it's only people who were in it when you cast it that can go in and out.
Yeah. So who volunteers for that? So
Alphonse volunteers immedially to sleep in the tiny hut.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course. And how many minions do we have?
8.
Oh, okay. So not all of them, and myself and Alphonse could fit in there.
That's okay. They sort of do a bit of the equivalent of sort of paper, rock, scissors between the two groups. Nessa's group says if there's room, we would like to be inside, whereas Carrie's, their group will stay outside and help guard.
Okay.
I mean, if they want to guard, that's great. I would say, especially for the first night in the forest, maybe given we're the experienced people, it might be nice to kind of give them the night to like just get a good rest and be prepared.
Well, fair. They're going to be outside of the dome.
Right.
Because they know everyone cannot fit inside the dome. So they will be outside. If they are needed to help guard, they can.
Okay.
All right. Okay. And yeah, who stays outside and what sort of a watch do you have?
I'm okay staying outside and taking first watch.
Or can watch with Mint.
Okay.
I'll take a second.
Yeah, Gildy will do a watch.
Okay.
Yeah, go it
So
down.
the first is Tor and Mint. Jacob, you said you do second? Anybody want to be with Jacob?
I guess I'll go with Jacob, and that way Gildy and Alphonse can be together on the third or something.
Well, Alphonse is going to stay inside the dome. I suppose he can be on watch, but he's inside the dome, so it's sort of a less...
Alphonse does not want to take watch.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right.
So third will be Gildy, and we'll say Nessa. I'll sort of help you.
Leon covers Alphonse in a glowing blanket.
Oh, that's sweet.
It's hard to fall asleep with a glowing blanket, but still, it's nice in the darkness.
It's not glowing that brightly.
But it's only like 3 feet by 3 feet. It's not a huge blanket.
All right.
Alphonse is very comforted by the blanket. He likes how it cuts through the shadow, even under the tiny hut where probably there's not like the same sort of shadow as in the forest. He's very comforted, and he actually sleeps pretty well.
Right? Glowing blanket is a good thing in the shadow forest. Ha!
Okay.
And then Leon does the usual thing. Ranu is inside the tent when the spell is cast, and then flies outside, basically sits on watch all night, and then if there's anything going on, will fly in and alert me to whatever trouble.
So, Gildy, give me a perception check, as well as Ranu.
Hooray! And Ranu, remember, has 120-foot dark vision.
Yep. Gildy can see in the darkness because she's a gloomstalker.
Yep. Okay. So
Oh,
Ranu
that's
gets
another thing too. Alphonse doesn't have dark vision.
Yeah.
So Ranu gets a 16.
Okay. And Gildy?
Gildy
10?
rolled a 10.
10? All right. All right. So, in the morning, as far as you can tell, morning in the Shadow Forest, there's a sort of a bit of a lightening of things. You are a little surprised to find an elf has joined you and is pretty much just sort of sitting there at the edge of the clearing. Even Gildy, sort of you're on the last watch and you get up to sort of, stretch a little bit and start to wake up the others. And that's sort of when you notice them just sitting there. And they wave at you and sort of get up and come over. Yeah, Ranu completely missed him.
All right then.
Okay, so when he comes over, Gildy says, "Hello. It's been many years. I was wondering if you would still hold up your promise, and I'm pleased to see that you have."
I am happy to see and hear that you are well, and I will help you in any way that I can. I'm sad to say that my kind are still less willing to be out and about and help those not of our kind. But to you, I will do it for you. I will do what I can.
Gildy nods and she says, "I very much appreciate that." And then she gestures to everyone around.
So yeah, what everyone else sees as sort of the dome comes down and you're sort of getting prepared for the day, is this dark-skinned elf, which even to you, Leon, is a bit of a surprise. Dark elves aren't really a known thing on this world, but yeah, they sort of this very sort of blue-black sort of skin with sort of gray-white hair that's sort of pulled back in a bit of a ponytail, eyes of sort of a fiery orange color. They're potentially a bit intimidating to sort of some of you that might not have seen them before, but definitely this one in particular seems a little not like battle ready is the way I'll put it. They have sort of some scars on them. They've got some light armor that they're wearing, and otherwise seems like they are, you know, ready for anything within the Shadow Forest. But they're also, again, as in sort of the way that many elves are, just a naturally sort of picturesque sort of, you know, form and shape, and the you know, delicate ears and that sort of thing. Yeah, definitely strange. Definitely something none of you have seen before other than Gildy.
So Gildy says, we're looking for the shadow domes where we want to destroy them. We know of one in the north, but that is
there was some time ago a dome that was destroyed.
Yes, we did that.
Sort of nods to himself, like, if anybody could have done it, I would have said it would be you.
So Gildy's flattered. She's like, oh.
We know of the location of many domes, if not all of them. I can lead you to any that you wish to go to. Is there one in particular you are headed towards, or any information you need to know about their locations? I will. He sort of, you can even tell that when you mention that he's sort of, he doesn't go pale, but there's a bit of sort of shock and surprise on his face, and he says, we know that dark things happen within those domes, and evil we will not go too close. We have lost a few of our kind to them, but I will definitely take you to it for anything that you need to do within the Shadow Forest.
Okay.
Leon's definitely going to come over, kind of waiting for Gildy to like introduce her to her friend, rather than just like butting into the conversation.
Okay, so when Gildy notices that Leon is awkwardly hovering, she gestures and she says, Leon, come here, he'll help us.
And he sort of nods to you,
Of
acknowledging
course,
you.
Gildy. I guess I'll give like a formal greeting in Elven to the elf, just as in an attempt to be like, clearly just trying to be like extremely respectful.
And he responds in Elvish, but it's clear that the formality of the greeting you gave is lost on him. That he recognizes it as a greeting, but not sort of the formality of it. And even the Elvish that he speaks is accented, if that makes sense. Like
Yep.
These people have been long separated from any other sort of elves.
Okay. And I take it I've heard the conversation so far?
Yeah.
Okay. Then I ask, now, you've mentioned that there are others, but that you are not, your people are not willing to engage out of certainly wariness of the domes and the evils within. Now, our plans are actually to free the individuals who have been mutated by the evil magics, and we have that ability with us. Based on the fact that our mission is to free all of the peoples, would that change the opinion of your people in assisting us? And if you wish, I can provide in great detail the details of the ritual that we are prepared to use to free the peoples.
No, I do not need that. My people are wary by nature. They have lived their lives in a dangerous place and have come to be suspicious of most non-elves and others like us. I would say this. If you are successful in your quest, if assuming your quest is to bring down another of these domes, that would show my people good faith. And perhaps they might be willing to aid in dealing with others or helping to cleanse this corruption, as you have said.
Thank you.
So then Gildy says, we're hoping to track down the master. Would you know which dome the master happens to be in? Because then we would like to target that one. Otherwise, we will go to the closest.
I can take you to the first dome. The first that was created. The one that now is the most corrupt and most likely where you would find this master you seek.
Gildy nods and says, let's go.
He nods and sort of addresses the rest of the group, and then just like you've seen Gildy move through the forest, and just sort of, and she can help you move sort of smoothly. You're not hindered by rough terrain and that sort of thing. And the elf moves in the same way, sort of easily through the forest, but also with this sort of incredible sort of grace of movement as well. And even just actually a few feet inside the forest, you've completely lost sight of them. They sort of step back, like, come, as you sort of start to follow as well. They're very good at sort of concealing themselves in the forest, and otherwise moving through the forest as well. And yep.
Then I guess I don't chastise Ranu for not noticing him.
He only has a +10 to his stealth roll, so yeah.
Oh, okay. Wow. Then on the way, I'm definitely going to engage Gildy in Primordial and just ask, is everything all right? You seem to be acting oddly since returning to your home.
What do you mean?
Well, you just seem different. And I wanted to check if everything is all right.
Gildy says, well, I don't really like having them around, and she gestures to the like soldiers who had joined.
Oh.
And she also says, Alphonse is a little tense, so that makes me a little tense.
You have my word that I will not allow any harm to come to Alphonse.
You're fair game, but Alphonse.
Yeah.
Why does everyone laugh when I say that? I can protect Alphonse.
I'm laughing. Gildy's not laughing. Gildy appreciates it.
Okay.
And she says kind of fiercely, like, me neither.
Well, I know that you.
And Alphonse is probably nearby, and he's like, "What are you guys talking about?"
I just want you to. I know that, of course, you will not allow any harm, but I want you to know that I join you in that sentiment. And then, actually, further to that, then I start having a conversation with Alphonse and make sure that he knows, and we kind of arrange that basically, if he's ever in a situation where he's, feeling really threatened and he needs to move from where he is and he's pinned down, that he can call to Leon, and then I will benign transposition with him to get him out of that location, so that he knows that, like, he never has to worry about being stuck in a spot. I will stay within 30 feet of him, and if he ever needs to trade places, then we will trade places.
Okay. He doesn't, like, say a lot of words in your exchange. It's a lot of, like, nods and uh-huh and okay, but you can probably tell he's like a little less like after your conversation.
He's got more of a neck after the conversation.
Okay.
As much of a neck as halflings have, anyway.
Yes.
So, you travel through the forest, and takes you probably about 3 days. Yeah. Of traveling, and it's actually, I'm going to say it's closer to 4 days. You definitely all get the sense that you're not traveling in a straight line, that you're sort of weaving and sort of making wide arcs and that sort of thing. And if anybody asks, Uarthan will sort of mention that he is taking the safest route. That there are known areas of greater corruption, usually around domes. And he is, taking the safest way that he knows to get to the dome that you're headed towards. But yeah, it takes about another 4 days.
At some point during the travels, Leon will just, at a random stop or at a notable location or something like that, just make a reference to kind of recounting what she figures the guard twins would bicker about, or the kind of exchange that the guard twins would have if they were here. I bet you that Melinda would say something about that was like this, and then Melinda would follow up with this kind of a statement.
Yeah.
I miss the guard twins. It's too bad they didn't come with.
Yeah. Anything else that you want to go over within? You've got sort of that 4 days. Anything that comes up in that time?
I think just undoubtedly then after our conversation, Rob, people would notice that that Leon kind of at the end of the day, like when we know that we're kind of safe and whatever, and before we sleep, Leon would be conjuring these small creatures, dust methods. They are small elemental creatures. They have wings. They have really long noses. And basically she talks to them in primordial, and you can tell she's talking to them in a very, like, she's not treating them like minions. She's clearly speaking to them with a lot of respect, as you've seen she always does with any kind of extraplanar being, and seems to be pretty clearly making like arrangements with them and probably explaining, seems to be like explaining a plan kind of thing to these beings.
Yeah.
And when they all ignore the plan and do something else, you still listen to me.
Yes, exactly. I was going to say they can't not follow my plan. They have to. It's part of the magic. Ooh, no, I can't do that. I was like, if only there was magic that would make my friends. Oh wait, those are evil spells. I shouldn't cast those.
Has probably had that thought many times and had to remind herself, no.
No, this is probably actually the first time, and then it's like, oh wait, nope, those are the kinds of spells that I should never take. Right.
Hey.
Oh, well.
Anything else that comes up?
Then Leon imagines a world in which she lives on another plane, and then she could conjure her friends. Like, I'm just picturing summoning Talon, and then Talon magically has to do what I say and can't stray from the plan. That's the dream that she has that evening as she trances.
Now my question is, like, what if the thing you summon misunderstands you? So it's like they think they're following your directions, but they just got them wrong. Because that would be Talon, right?
Exactly, Talon.
Oh, that was actually cool. That's the other thing. Sorry, that's another important part of the plan, is that when we get to the dome, before he goes sneaking, Talon reads the book.
Probably a good plan, yeah.
So that at least for the start of the battle, we have smart Talon.
Last for an hour. Battle probably won't last for an hour. So yeah,
exactly.
Unless there's a lot of scouting.
That's a good idea.
Okay. Yeah. Anything else? Okay. All right. You definitely all notice that the last about half day that you're traveling, Arthur will sort of warn you, like, you cannot avoid, since you're heading towards the first dome, they will be heading into rougher areas. Even still, Arthur knows, like, seems very well how to sort of avoid things. You get the sense that there's sort of more, darkness and creatures around you, but you don't encounter any. But yeah, you get sort of just this growing sense of like heaviness, of like, it's sort of that sense of being watched, and it's sort of the the impending doom sort of thing. But it's mostly this sort of darkness and heaviness that sort of just weighs on you. And even Orthan sort of only goes so far, and says that essentially tells Gildy, if you follow straight from here for another like couple hundred feet, you will come to a path that encircles the dome, and the rider that rides that, and then you will come to the dome itself.
Gildy says, thank you. Is there anything we can do to repay your kindness?
And he kneels before you and sort of puts a hand on your shoulder and simply says, if you are able to do what I hope you are able to do, that will be more than any and all of us Shadow Elves could ever ask for.
Gildy nods kind of solemnly, and she says, "We will do our best."
And he rises and says, "We will be watching." Now, you also get the sense that they'll just be watching the dome. They can't help you once you're inside. They're mostly just hoping that it will come down at some point. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. And then, yeah, as you follow that sort of, careful trail in, you wait, the right amount of time until you've heard the rider come and go and then cross the path. And you get up to the dome. And even like this one feels vastly different than the one you were the two you've been sort of close to previously. It just sort of radiates a sense of like terror and corruption and darkness and sort of, spine shivering sort of ickiness, to put it in a not so technical term. And Alphonse gets out his egg and slams it down onto the ground. And who would like to roll to see what comes out? It's a percentile roll, so D100.
I'll roll.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like Carolyn should be the one.
Yeah. 53. Ooh. I don't know what that is offhand.
Dude, unicorn?
It is not. Unicorn was 61 to 85.
It could have been a unicorn. That would have
One
been
of the
amazing.
options, like egg goo.
Oh my goodness.
I was thinking like mouse. It's like an invisible mouse.
What you get is an enormous cat.
How enormous?
Large.
Big cat.
With 2 pairs of downward sloping horns and prominent teeth, blue-gray hide that has a silvery geometric pattern upon it, thick white mane that falls in an orderly fashion around its shoulders. One second. Okay, no, that's all. So it is a Felidar. For those of you who don't know what that is, I've otherwise described it, but it is a cat-based celestial.
Okay.
If you go into D&D Beyond, that's actually a pretty decent picture. Yeah, D&D Beyond will show you a nice little picture if you look it up and click on the little icon.
Okay. Would that be an Arcana check to know about things and what all they can do?
Yeah. Oh, I need to be on roll 20 to see what it is. So I'll say that it's pretty clear that you know it's a celestial. You know that they are like decently significant in sort of what they can do. It goes to Alphonse, who broke the egg, and Alphonse. What would Alphonse's reaction be to a giant, large, proud cat with these sort of horns and that sort of thing that is approaching him?
That's a good question. Let's see. So Alphonse, well, he would be surprised, but he always knew that the egg was going to work. Gildy is beside herself. She totally thought it was a scam, and so was like, what the hell? But I think that Alphonse is very odd, and I mean, this cat is probably much larger than he is, so he's just like, oh my goodness. He's probably a little bit scared of it because he doesn't 100% know if it's going to be nice to him.
And yeah, it's sort of had giant paws, sort of up and sort of, it was sort of close to him, but sort of, takes that step closer, and its sort of head sort of tilts down, and it sort of touches the top of Alphonse's head with its nose. And Alphonse's eyes just go wide. And he's like, oh, hello.
Yes.
And yeah.
Alphonse turns to the group and he says, I think it's my friend.
Alphonse can now communicate with it telepathically.
Yes, and Leon will definitely explain and be like, since you summoned it, it will do what you wish.
Yep. Yeah.
And we're right at the dome now, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much? Okay, then Leon will, signal to Talon to start reading his book.
Mm-hmm.
And Leon will then summon for dust methods.
Okay. Wisp uses her viol and summons a little sort of sprightly creature that sort of arrives with like its own little sort of little battle armor and a sword. And I think that's all the things. Yeah, if anybody speaks Celestial,
No.
you can try and communicate with the Felidar if you like.
I don't think Gildy feels strongly about that, but so Alphonse can telepathically communicate with it, but Alphonse does not speak.
It will speak common to Alphonse,
Okay.
but it cannot otherwise speak common.
Okay. So Alphonse is going to telepathically communicate with it, and he's going to say, "What is your name?"
Ooh, what's a good name for a cat-based celestial?
Kittens.
Not kidding.
I thought you said mittens.
I said mitten. Yeah.
Oh, you did say mittens? No. Oh, jeez.
I am the glorious Mittens.
That reminds me of that
Death
episode
mittens.
of
Yeah.
no, but the episode of Rick and Morty. It's like, you will call me Snowball because my snow is pretty and white. It's like,
No, but we'll go with that. The something along those lines. Its name is Mitan, Mytan.
The chat suggested Spot.
Nice.
Most who have bonded with me refer to me as Spot.
And Alphonse says, "Okay, Spot it is." And then he explains to Spot
Mission.
the plan and like what they're gonna do when they're in there, and says it would be really nice if you could help. You seem very powerful.
I am bound to you, and I will help you with anything that you desire.
Oh. Okay. Well,
If you
that's
wish to
also
ride upon my
nice.
back, feel free to.
And Alphonse like his face lights up in a way that hasn't since the oh god, the bracelet, right? It was a bracelet. It's definitely not since like they got near the Shadow Forest. He's been very down, but now he's very happy, and he's like, if that's okay, I would love to do that.
It sort of, brings its head down low and sort of crouches, and Alphonse can climb on the back.
And he does, and he sits on Spot, and it just like tries to look as regal as possible.
I mean, it's a pretty magnificent mount. So
Yeah.
Alphonse gets his He-Man moment. It's great.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. He takes his what does he have? He's got a club, and he holds his club.
I cast Gust. so that his hair and his cloak like blows in the breeze as he strikes a dramatic pose.
You know what? This has been a bit of an interesting moment for all of you. You were not quite expecting this. Remember this for next time. You all have inspiration going into this fight. Thanks to Alphonse.
Thank you, Alphonse.
He's so inspiring.
Yep.
Same.
Okay. Talon, do you read your book? Any other preparation other people are doing? Potions you'd like to take now? Things you'd like to do in advance?
Oh, really minor. I just realized my experimental elixirs only last for a day, so I will roll 2 more to see what we actually have for today.
Or you can just keep what you have. I'm okay with that too.
Actually, I rolled exactly the same.
There you go.
A 4 and a 1.
Yep.
Okay.
Good.
So
No,
never mind.
healing and boldness. Yep. Any other preparation potions?
Do you give the boldness to Gildy again, or
yeah.
was that okay?
Who is likely to take the most damage?
Well, given previous fights, Torok and Talon are going to be up front and probably taking a lot of damage. You also, if it's the similar sorts of things that was in the last dome, one of the special attacks of the Guardian creature was it could sort of reach out tentacles in a whole bunch of directions, hit it like multiple targets. So like there's some potential range attacks going on. If they're focusing on who's dealing the most damage to them, probably Gildy would be on that list with her sort of many attacks. Yeah. And if they decide to focus on wizards, then Leon and Jacob might be targets as well.
There's no point in focusing on wizards. Wizards aren't a threat.
No, I was thinking of swapping out one of my 2nd level spells for an aid, just to give a couple people some additional hit points. But I think Lesser Restoration and See Invisibility will probably be more potentially could be more useful.
Yes.
Sorry.
Okay.
Are you going to cast See Invisibility now? Because it lasts for super long?
It lasts for an hour, so yeah. I'll probably do that on myself. Just double checking to see what other.
Cool.
How long does the potion last?
1 minute.
Boldness one is only 1 minute,
1 minute.
But most other potions can last up to potentially an hour. I know the giant strength lasts up to an hour. I think the speed only lasts for a minute. I will remind you of other potions that you have.
Did people not give us all of their inventory?
No, you've got this one in your inventory, but it now might be an interesting time to use it. You have a potion of clairvoyance.
Clairvoyance?
If you wanted to use it.
Well, I mean, we're using Talon.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll be your clairvoyant.
Because I guess that's the thing. Like, we don't even know if the clairvoyance would be able to pierce to the other side of the dome. That would be my concern. Would be that it wouldn't work through the dome.
It works like the spell.
Yeah, we don't know all the properties of the dome, so
yeah.
So that's my concern, is that we would use it and then it's like, nope, you can't. It will not go past this dome.
Your knowledge of it would be that it should work on the other side of the dome.
Okay. Well, if that should work, then Leon would definitely propose that we use the potion of clairvoyance to scout the dome rather than having Talon.
Yeah, or
inside.
You could use both. Like, these are pretty large domes too.
No, because I'm thinking like, oh right, but it's completely dark in there.
Yep.
What was it? The look on my face?
That and just that slow kind of smirky smile, like
you see through the sensor as if you were in its place. So
yes.
If you have dark vision, you will see.
Yes, that's why I did the smirk, was because I was like, if I give Ranu the potion and then I look through Ranu's eyes, then I have 120-foot dark vision.
Yeah.
Instead of 60-foot dark vision.
Pretty sure Gildy also has 120-foot dark vision, but yes.
Does she?
I don't think so.
Oh,
I think
okay.
she might have 60 because she
You
doesn't
gain-
Right, 'cause you
normally
didn't have
have
dark
Yeah.
vision otherwise, yeah.
Yeah, it's 60.
As long as whoever's inside the dome doesn't have, now this would apply whether it's Talon or this, see invisibility or true sight, because if so, they would see this little orb.
That is also true. But again, that would also see Talon if Talon was
Exactly,
invisible.
yeah.
So what would you like to do?
Well, so then I guess that's the thing, right? We're only going to be able to see 60 feet with clairvoyance, so that doesn't seem nearly as useful because it's not like we can put it at the top of the dome and then look around because it's going to be dark in there. So then, in that case, then I would return to the original plan of having Talon
Well,
scout.
you can pretty much put it anywhere you want inside the dome as well, right? The range is 1 mile. So you know
Oh, no.
roughly how big the dome is, you know roughly dimensions of the dome, where things would be. If you wanted to put it like 20 feet up from the center of the dome, you'd be able to see a radius of 60 feet around you.
But how big is this dome? Like, is that going to be like, because we want to also
Well,
see
that would be
like,
120 feet of 200 feet.
okay. But then we wouldn't be able to see the 60 feet, like we wouldn't be able to see where we're entering.
No, but you could use Talon for that.
Yeah, but I don't want to use both. I'd rather use one or the
You
other.
have lots of resources to use.
Fine. Or do we want to use both? What do other people think? Do we want to use both and then scout kind of the central area and then have Talon scout the outside?
Gildy says,
Now,
the more we know, the better.
Okay.
if we use the clairvoyance spell, and we put the orb around the middle, so we can kind of see, at least to confirm the marble, the creature, whatever can see around that. If we get the sense that it is being spotted, then it makes no sense for Talon to go in because he'll probably get attacked. If they don't seem to, notice that it's there, then it might be safe to assume that they cannot see the invisible or have true sight, in which case then it'd be safe for Talon to follow up with more investigation.
That's true.
Okay.
If you put it someplace really obvious inside the dome and it's noticed, that tells you something.
Okay. But I feel like it makes...
Talon read the book, so now he's smarter.
Yeah. I feel like it makes sense to put it to... Let's use that centrally so that we can see as much of the center of the dome, and then Talon can scout around some of the outside.
Mhm.
Cool. So
right.
who's going to use the... Who has dark vision? Who all has dark vision?
I have dark vision.
Gildy has dark
Okay.
vision.
But Jacob doesn't normally have dark vision. You have a magic item that would let you have dark vision, but I don't think that would allow clairvoyance to give you dark vision.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, it's the goggles.
Yeah, because then you have the see invisible, which would be helpful. So who's going to use the potion? Leon volunteers to use the potion.
All right.
Okay.
Well, if you
So-
say, depending, is it the intention to use clairvoyance, which lasts for 10 minutes,
Yeah.
and then Talon goes in, or start with clairvoyance, give it like a minute?
You
And
might as
then-
well start with clairvoyance.
Yeah.
See if they notice the sensor, see what happens, see what you notice, and if Talon wants to go in that time frame, Talon could potentially as well.
Cool. Leon drinks the clairvoyance potion and
All
puts the sensor in the middle of the dome so that she can see as much as possible of the
Right.
central area of the dome, and basically recounts to everyone in minute detail what exactly she sees.
All right. So you see the dark sphere directly at the center of the dome. Coming and going from that are sort of the many lines of people that are sort of going to feed the other dark spheres. These ones, though, the original dome that you went into, these were sort of individuals that were semi-corrupted, Alphonse being one of them, and individuals that, were sort of under the influence and sort of growing more corrupted. The ones you're seeing now are like the fully corrupted ones. They are, you don't think just sort of knocking them out will sort of bring them out of this. You would probably have to perform the ritual.
Okay. But they still seem lethargic and like kind of mindless minions.
Not necessarily. These
Okay.
guys might just be able to start a fight.
Okay, so then I let everybody know that the chances are good that even like the people who had been just delivering the shadow, they may get involved in the combat as well.
You also see 60 feet. Okay, so about there. All right. You see the leader, the Shadow Master.
Okay.
Give me an Arcana check. If you want to try and figure out what he is. 19. You're fairly certain that the Shadow Master is a vampire. Very close by the Shadow Master is a Shadow Render, sort of this large sort of beast of a shadow creature.
Okay. What all do I know about vampires? I guess is it safe?
I'll give you the sort of the rundown in a second. I'm just sort of giving you
Okay.
what you see. There are also there's also the Guardian that's sort of close to the sphere just below you. It looks very similar to the Guardian you encountered before, probably of similar sort of power and prowess to what you encountered before. You can see two shadows, so just regular sort of shadow creatures. There is another who sort of looks like a vampire, but is definitely sort of being commanded and sort of subservient. You can see at least 3 of the wizards. Again, many other of the minions sort of in other areas around the dome. The 2 portals that sort of are off to one side of the center. And that's about it. So there's many of these sort of minions. Again, a few wizards, 2 shadows that you can see, the vampire's minion, the Shadow Render.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are the minions in any way grouped anywhere, or any number of minions grouped anywhere?
Yes. So definitely you think that if you came in sort of closer to the edge where the minions are sort of heading towards the globes that are there and sort of conveying the shadow essence, there's at any given time, there's a decent amount of sort of a group of them that are on that side. Almost directly on the other side and sort of slightly off, there's that sort of corruption area that you have, remember with the Reverse Dome. That's where the wizards are, and there's also a bunch of the lesser minions around that as well, and sort of protecting the wizards or otherwise sort of helping out with those sorts of things.
Okay. All right. So I explain all of that. I'm going to suggest that
Two things. So quickly, what you know about vampires, they are shape changers. They can assume the form of a bat or a cloud of mist. They have significant resistances and regeneration, unless they are in true sunlight.
Yep. And the daylight spell counts.
Which includes other weaknesses. Can't enter a residence without an invitation. Harmed by running water, but you don't. It needs to be a significant source of running water. You can't just like pour water over them. A stake to the heart does work, but they have to be incapacitated in a resting place, so that's not going to do much for you. But yes, they have sunlight hypersensitivity, and will take damage while in sunlight.
If I'm not mistaken, Moonbeam does extra damage to shape changers, doesn't it?
It might, yeah. They have a bite attack, as well as sort of an unarmed attack.
Okay.
And out of game sort of purposes, they have potentially legendary actions. The vampire spawn also has regeneration, also has sunlight hypersensitivity, and is otherwise just sort of tough and attacks, and yeah.
Cool.
And nobody seems to notice your clairvoyance spell. And the second thing, roll a d8 for me.
Who, me?
Yep. Anybody can roll it, but you're the one sort of looking inside, and this will sort of determine a few things.
5.
5 is there. Okay. So what you know at the moment is sort of where you're currently located next to the dome, is pretty much almost directly where the vampire is. And if you wanted to hit either of the minions, you'd either have to go just a little bit around this way or a quarter turn around that way to get to where the clumps of minions are.
All right.
But if you headed straight from where you are at the moment, you would be right in front of the vampire and the shadow render.
Okay. So then I will ask the group, and basically given this description, do some of you wish to then go directly against the Shadow Master using daylight, while the rest of us go deal with the minions for a few moments and then come to your aid? Or do we wish to all make our way through the minions first?
Alphonse goes super pale, and even though he's still on top of Spot, and he's still trying to be brave, but he has the spell Daylight, and he also has the spell Moonbeam that'll be effective against the vampire, but he's just
And I'm gonna say Alphonse, in his time at the Dome, probably saw the Master come and go a couple of times, and a pretty scary individual.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think of what he would say. He says something like, I have daylight. I can cast it. I can cast it on the Master, but I don't want to get close to him.
In his head, Spot will say, I will protect you.
That makes Alphonse feel a little better.
Well, and we can keep your daylight as a backup. I think that we should use the Drift Globe daylight, and then if one of the wizards dispels it, and they think, haha, we have stopped your daylight, then boom, we have daylight again.
Yep.
All right, excellent. So then that, again, begs the question. Do those of you who are do some of you then wish to go through here, right where we are, and attack the leader, while others of us go around, or should we all go around and make our way through the minions first before we engage the Masters?
Trying to recall, last time when the leader was defeated or fled, didn't people kind of wake up? Or am I misremembering?
So once the dome went down and the orb was destroyed, the people who were sort of carrying the essence back and forth did completely come to themselves at that point. These people will not.
They've probably been held there longer, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So we will need to put them all to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Gildy says it would probably be better not to go after the Master first and to try to get rid of some of these other enemies, if we can.
Yeah, whittle down their numbers.
Well, yes, and it's just a matter of do all of us wish to go from that side? We have numbers, and we have the element of surprise. So we could split our forces in half and attack from one side and the other half. It's just a matter, I'm curious, do some of you actually wish to attempt, now that we know what all opponents we have, do you wish to try and take them on without all of us together?
I think it might be, given we can probably surprise this Master, advantageous for us to try and, focus a bunch of force on them at once. I could slip in there, be invisible. We can kind of coordinate our attack, and I can basically bring out the drift globe and cast daylight. And that will be sort of a signal. I can use the message stone to let you know the moment I'm doing that, and then you can all come rushing in, and we might be able to get an attack on them before he has a chance to respond.
All right. So you're thinking we should all focus our efforts on the master in that group and save the others as a secondary concern?
I would say that either as many people as reasonably can focus on the master should focus on them, and the rest can probably create a diversion on the other side.
Or if you just want to, go in and wreak havoc on this master person, we can protect you and provide some cover around you. This from the guards.
That also sounds good.
Yeah, I don't think we should split up. It's more of a chance to heal one another.
No.
All right.
Because yes, it would be very dangerous to only have some people against the master. And then she looks over to the soldiers and she's like, they can do whatever though.
Yep. And
I would probably not say that so loud that they could definitely, she wouldn't announce it.
All right.
And a couple of them be like, hey, don't worry, we'll protect you. Whatever you guys are doing, we'll be there and we'll help you out.
Okay. Then it sounds like we're all just going to go in and hit them. There's no reason for Talon to go in alone initially.
Unless you actually want that element of surprise potentially as well, because Talon could be invisible and sort of get into advantageous position and then signal the rest of them.
All right. Sure. Let's do that.
Okay.
I let Talon know when you... So I will be watching using clairvoyance. Wait, no, but you'll be signaling me. Once you signal us, I'm going to cast Mirror Image, and then we will go. So there will be a slight delay.
All right.
Don't go immediately. Give me a chance to cast Mirror Image, and then we go.
Well, it could also be we're going to basically start at this point, count down from 10, and Talon go in there, and at the point of 5, you cast Mirror Image, and at 0, you're already ready to go with Mirror Image.
Well, but I figure you may as well get into the advantageous position.
But that's the point, is to give Talon that X amount of count to get into an advantageous position.
Yeah, but with the message stone, you can just get into the position and be like, I'm ready to go. Okay, I've cast Mirror Image. Okay, go. Boom. And then we go.
Okay. All right. Talon is casting invisibility. Again, so anything you would like to take or cast on yourself now before you go in?
I was going to say, well, Talon will also, right before he does the drift globe, will also drink the potion of haste, or speed.
Yeah, that's going to last for an hour. That's only lasts for
1 minute,
I think, yeah.
Yes,
okay.
That's why it's going to be right as the action's about to start.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's, so basically you'll be like, okay, go. And then you drink your potion at the same time that I cast my spell.
It's the
because they both only last a minute.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, Gildy is also going to chug the potion of boldness.
Okay. So it sounds like basically it's like, all right, do the stuff. Okay, go.
All right.
Is Minyasek going to drink her potion of Hill Giant's Ring?
She may chug it back once she's summoned into the sphere. I mean, it lasts an hour.
It lasts for an hour. You might as well do it now.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're going to use it. This is what I'm giving you the opportunity to do. Trust me, as a character who did not do this in a previous game.
Yeah, because then you don't need to use an action during the combat to drink it. That's what we're doing, right?
I think if the DM is asking us repeatedly if we want to do a thing, we should maybe do that thing.
We should probably do the thing the DM is suggesting that we do.
I'm just making it nice and clear that right now, you have time to do stuff. Okay.
All right, so my strength is going to jump up to 21 for an hour, guys. That's terrifying. It's currently 12. I'm going to feel so strong.
It's really too bad that people's muscles don't bulk up. That would be amazing. Suddenly she was like,
mint smash. Oh
right.
God, Vince.
I'm scared I'm gonna break one of my weapons.
It's the Irish Incredible Hulk.
Isn't it a little lost on me to like take a potion of heal strength? I shoot a gun.
But you also, wield a melee weapon at times. So
Yeah.
It's true.
And this way,
Okay.
if you get into melee,
yeah.
then people will be like, haha, little gnome, and you'll be like, stab. This
Okay.
gnome has the strength of 10 gnomes.
Um,
That's
so
fair.
Irk,
Right? Pretty much. All right. So we defeat everyone in the dome.
all done.
That is the end of season 2. We'll join us next week for season 3.
Alan, you you make yourself invisible and head to the dome. You get to it, and you're sort of expecting the last one where you you touched it and then it sort of sucked you in. This one is different. This one you touch it and it's hard. It's got resistance to it. It is not trying to get you inside of it. Give me an athletics check.
We're all going to be stuck outside.
I not have that one.
That's okay. Mint can push you through.
Oh, yeah. There we go.
So strong now.
Mint is just going to be shoving all of us.
What's been strength now?
21.
Okay. One stronger than Torok.
So the two of you will just go around shoving all of us weak, feeble people into the dome.
I now have
really
a...
inconspicuous.
I wonder if Leon's dome will overpower this dome if you create it like right on the edge of it.
I see your dome and I raise you a dome.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Yeah, you try and push through and it sort of just pushes right back at you. You are not able to get through on your first attempt. You are invisible, so others cannot really see this happening.
You can probably hear him grunting and groaning.
What was that?
Jacob can.
Jacob
We
had
can
the
probably
goggles
hear him.
Well, it's not the goggles that see. Is it the goggles? That see
Goggles of the
invisible?
night.
No, but
No,
he's got
it's, I have see invisible spell.
But you also have see invisible spell.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he can see me. So
I'm snickering a little bit.
Yeah.
And I mean, we could probably hear if he's struggling. We can hear him being like.
While he's doing it, can I make an Arcana check to see if there's any way to help? What's the word I'm looking for? Help make it a little easier to push through.
I could also try to help myself.
You know what tends to soften things? Heat.
Well, actually, make an Arcana check. So, Mint, you are currently 2 points stronger than the massive cat, creature that's with you. So,
Hi, kitty.
Now you can arm wrestle the giant cat and win.
okay. You're not quite certain. Your best guess is maybe it's darkness and light sort of weakens some of the creatures. Maybe light would weaken the dome.
I'll mention that to the group. And in fact, on your next attempt, I'll use one of my Flash of Geniuses to give you a +4 to your
There you go.
your roll.
And I think Talon said you were going to try something else, perhaps?
Yes. How many things can stack on one another?
Depends what you're trying to stack.
Can I use guidance on myself?
So what does the Flash of Genius give you exactly?
When myself or another creature I can see within 30 feet makes an ability check or a saving throw, I can use my reaction to add +4 to the roll. I can use it 4 times per day.
I would say that you could stack guidance on top of that. If it was sort of similar sorts of spell effects, probably not. But yeah, this is a class effect versus a spell effect. So
Okay.
I'm going to make a ruling that in this case you could do it.
Okay.
Also, you've got your egg.
And I have my egg. That's true. I should bless some people before I go in. Also, if it's tough for me to get through, what is the plan for trying to get everybody else through? Because otherwise I'm going to say Drift Globe, cast Daylight, and be like, ha, 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 Any guys?
That's what
And be all alone.
No, because I think Jacob has mentioned that that light should weaken it.
The
Well,
light
so
should
far
weaken
it's
it.
It's a theory, and how much does it weaken it, and how much does
Yeah.
it make people able to go through it? We're still.
Yeah, but we have the basically the flashlight that shines bright light. So that'll create a fairly large area that I figure that'll weaken it, and we should be able to get through.
I believe it creates. Is it a cone or is it a line?
It's a 60-foot cone.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So you're gonna try again, Talon?
Yep. Yeah. All right. So I will cast Bless on myself, on Torok, and on probably Gildy.
Okay. That's advantage on attacks and
Not
saves.
not advantage is plus a D4.
Sorry, it's
It's
a
plus
D4.
1d4 to attack or saving throw.
Yeah.
For
Not
the
skill
next-
checks.
Not skill checks.
Yep.
Will that so Gildy already took the potion of boldness, which does the same thing. Do you want to bless
Okay.
someone else?
Yes. I guess Mint, because Mint's got the big
It's got
strength
the power.
going on. All right. So yeah. So it'll basically be 1d4 to your attack roll or saving throw for the next minute.
Okay.
So it won't help getting in, but once you're in.
And
Right.
you're gonna try again.
Who has a really good armor class?
Not Talon.
My AC right now is 16. I think with the rapier it goes up 1 when I'm using it.
And Tor's 17.
Okay. All right. Then I'm going to have my mephits around Torok.
Okay.
Basically just because I figure the spellcasters will be like, whoever summoned them, just attack them and break their concentration. So I'm going to not have them around me so they don't target me
Okay.
to try and break my concentration.
All right. Here we go. Oh God.
You rolled a 1. No, you didn't roll a 1.
Did roll.
One of
You
your
did roll
dice was a 1.
one.
No.
Yeah.
Oh,
not on the
one was
D20.
roll. That's right. Yes. I rolled a
D4
6.
was
Plus
wrong.
4 plus 1.
Yeah. Dear Lord.
You haven't taken the potion of speed yet, right?
No, not until I get inside.
Um,
Jacob, stop laughing.
yeah, that doesn't quite make it through.
All right.
Oh, Talon.
Um,
Always the weakest link in all of our plans.
guide myself again. I'm assuming the +4 Jacob goes away after the first try.
Yep.
All right. We're gonna go without that and just try again.
You got this.
I'm just picturing Talon like smushing his forehead against this thing and like trying to walk and making little grooves in the ground with his feet as he's trying to push his head through.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes. This time he's probably giving just like a 2-step start. To try to, like, push them.
He's gonna try for a third time. We may need to help push.
And yeah.
You get that 2-step start. You run up and through, and yeah, you're pretty much right there.
You're not showing anything, Rob, or at least I'm not seeing. Just so you know.
Oh no, I know.
Oh, okay.
I'm not. The map is not sort of. I'm gonna save that because I'm going to end before we actually get to the fight.
Ah.
But yeah, you barge through the dome. You can feel like the tension as it sort of moves around you, and you sort of slip through that. It is, of course, completely dark inside. You have dark vision, yes? Yep. So you take a couple of steps to bring yourself to a halt. You did not necessarily do that in the stealthiest manner. You are invisible, though.
Mm-hmm.
sheets here. Give me one sec. Seeing what the bonus do perception is. Okay. What is your stealth skill? What number is your stealth skill?
+9.
So your passive stealth is 19. Jeez. All right. You sort of come to a stop and wait. Nobody seems to notice you. There's a significantly sized tree not far from where you are, but you can see just on the other side of that, sort of around it, you can see the vampire. From where you are, you actually cannot quite see the shadow render. You figure, given it was supposed to be close to the vampire, that's probably exactly on the side of this tree and sort of far enough away that you can't quite see it. But you're inside. You have a moment to sort of get yourself into a good position. And that is where we will pick up next time as we start the epic fight in the second dome with the Shadow Master to hopefully dispel the evil from the Shadow Forest and not all die horribly.
Yes.
Yay, which we've been trying to do since the first session.
What, not die
Fourth session.
horribly or defeat the shadows?
Survive, yeah.
No, but I mean, the very first session was us
True.
going into the Shadow Forest. So this is like a continuation from the very first session.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so thank you everybody, and a reminder to find us on Twitter and give us lots of interesting suggestions for things you'd like to see in game. We didn't really do a lot today because we didn't sort of have any ones to originally go on. But yes, next time we will do some interesting ask fors as we go into a fight in the middle of this dome, and we'll see what happens. All right, thank you all. See you in a couple of weeks. Take care and be excellent to each other.